Hello and a very warm welcome to BBC London. Coming up on the programme, an urgent search for answers. The family of a man crushed while working under a pop-up urinal in Soho fear they'll never know why it happened.
The family is very broken, we're still struggling and we want answers.
The Met has apologised for how long the investigation is taking. Also ahead tonight.
It's not just a dance group, it's actually bringing people together, like people finding their happy place. It's a safe space.
Uniting young people, the talent show at Hackney Empire with a serious message around tackling youth violence. Plus, gearing up for the 80th anniversary of VE Day. We chat to pupils at one of the London schools preparing to mark the occasion. And
the next train to depart from platform 9 will be the
06 Southern service to West Croydon.
We often hear his voice. Now meet the man as we go behind the scenes of our many train announcements. Good evening to you. We start tonight with a family still searching for answers 2 years after engineer Kevin Holding was crushed under a pop-up urinal he was working on in Soho. They've criticised a lack of communication from the authorities, and his parents, who are now in their 80s, fear they'll never find out how and why it happened. The Met Police admits the investigation has been taking too long. Harry Lowe has the story.
Kevin Holding, a loving father, partner and son. But in January 2023, the engineer became trapped beneath a pop-up urinal he was working on in Soho. It took more than 2 hours for a crane to lift the toilet, by which time Mr. Holding couldn't be saved. For his family, it's now been 2 years of waiting and wondering why this happened.
We feel very disrespected. The family is very broken. We're still struggling and we want answers. And we've got family members, dad's parents, obviously quite elderly. They need to know what's happened to their son and they want answers. And yeah, we're just getting pushed along. And my gut is telling me my dad's file's been forgot again. And it's just sitting on the table, gathering dust.
The thought of it going on for years and years, what does that do to you?
Breaks us because we haven't got closure. We haven't been able to mourn properly, close that chapter and live our lives in memory of dad and build our family back up and just build their memories for him and do it for him. And at the moment we're still in this grey zone where we have no idea what happened, how he lost his life. So we can't do the closure and we can't put that to rest.
The Health and Safety Executive says it's assisting the Metropolitan Police, who told us this is a complex case and it's taken time to receive the interim expert report from the Health and Safety Executive. We've carefully considered the content and are awaiting some final advice before we decide on the next steps. We acknowledge this investigation has been ongoing for a long time and we're sorry for the impact this is having on everyone in Mr. Holding's family.
What do you make of that statement from the police?
Actions is what we want. We don't need your heart-warm words, because at the end of the day you've told us that from a year ago, and what have you done since then? We want actions now.
One family united by one simple wish: to know why the man they loved never came home. Harry Lowe, BBC London.
Let's return now to the news about the future of Grenfell Tower after a formal announcement on Friday from the government of their decision to dismantle it. A petition has been launched to pause that decision, and Anna O'Neill has been following developments and joins me now. Hi there, Anna. This is an incredibly difficult and sensitive situation.
It is. It's an incredibly difficult situation with no consensus between all those involved as to what should happen to the tower and when that should happen and what should replace it. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner held a meeting last Wednesday with some of the bereaved survivors groups. Clearly not everybody felt that they had been heard, not everybody felt about the meeting, not everybody felt they'd been consulted. And as a result of that, a petition asking for a better consultation was launched by Grenfell Tower survivor Emma O'Connor, who escaped the fire which killed 72 people. She spoke to Eddie Nestor on BBC Radio London earlier today.
I'm unhappy that she keeps speaking about one specific group. On every single interview that she does, she always uses their group as an example. We're just really unhappy that she says it was sensitive, but we've never actually had a full bereaved and survivors meeting.
Just to be clear, that was a survivor, Emma O'Connor there, who has started a petition about the consultation of that decision. And the Deputy PM spoke to the BBC yesterday, defending her decision.
Yeah, she spoke to the BBC saying that the decision to bring down Grenfell Tower was taken on the decision of experts. She said the structure of the tower since the fire had become dangerous and would worsen over time. And she said that she knew full well that whatever she said at the meeting with the residents and with the Grenfell community was going to be very traumatic for people, and that people would be upset, but that this was the only way forward.
I knew when I took on this role that this was something that was going to be really difficult, but a really important piece of work that had to be done, and therefore making the decision was something that I spoke to the Grenfell community, including bereaved and survivors. There isn't a consensus. I don't think you ever will find that. It's devastating what happened, but what I want to try and do is work with the Grenfell community, the bereaved survivors, to make sure that we do justice to the fact that there is a sacred place, people lost their lives there, and make sure that there is a lasting memorial on that site.
The Deputy PM, Angela Rayner, speaking to Laura Koonsberg there. Clearly a deeply difficult and sensitive situation, as we've heard. And how will that be considered from a practical point of view when it is taken down?
It's a good question, because it is a completely unique situation. Never in British history have we had a tragedy of this magnitude resulting in so many deaths, and where a decision has had to be taken to take down a 24-storey building that's right at the heart of a community. And it has to be done with the utmost sensibility, which is what Mark Antony from Demolition News told me.
We'll be asking workers to go in to work where people have died. That's undoubtedly going to have some sort of impact upon them. They're not going to leave that behind at 5 o'clock in the evening when they go home. They'll be taking that home to their families. So I think that's a key consideration. But obviously, I mean, the biggest concern is for the local community and for the bereaved families. You know, the mental health impact on them. You know, they're gradually going to see that tower disappearing. On one day, they will open their curtains and it will be gone. You know, that's going to be so jarring for them.
Mark Antony there, and there are more meetings with bereaved families and survivors planned. Thank you, Anna. And just to say, apologies for the sound problems we had at the beginning of that conversation with Anna O'Neill there. You're watching BBC London. Plenty more ahead this Monday evening, including: is it time to start listing trees? One charity's call to help protect them. And
You may not recognise my face, but you've probably heard me 1,000 times before. Find out more later in the programme.
now to a talent show for young Londoners with a serious message. And its previous contestants have included the singer Leona Lewis and the dance group Diversity. Boroughs United, now in its 25th year, takes place at the Hackney Empire and aims to bring communities together while also addressing tackling youth violence. Aisha Baksh can tell us more.
Last-minute rehearsals for Boroughs United, the annual show at the Hackney Empire, which celebrates the talents of young Londoners and campaigns for peace on the streets. And for some of those taking part, the serious message behind the show has personal resonance. Tyrell Johnson is a dancer performing with a youth group based in Waltham Forest.
I myself have lost people to knife crime, so I feel like it's something very important to bring it up as a subject, but also I feel like it's very important that dance brings everyone together. Safe space for all of us to, spend time together and do what we want to do. Like, dance keeps me happy.
Youth groups from different boroughs can enter teams of dancers, singers and spoken word artists, all with the chance to shine in a professional setting.
Anyone that performs gets a massive confidence boost, especially people that haven't performed before. Like people in my group, they performed for the first time, and a lot of them did not have that confidence before.
The show was first put on by local youth project The Crib 25 years ago, and it's now organised by young people themselves on and off stage.
I've always wanted to do something like this, to be backstage or something, and seeing all of like the behind the scenes is cool, it's amazing, yeah.
It kind of shows that there are people who want to do better, and there are people who are obviously, like you said, making the journey across boroughs to come and display their passion, their talent, their love for something.
Based on an estate in Hackney, The Crib supports young people and their families all year round, and they work to raise awareness around youth violence.
Unite as one and celebrate and live your lives to create a better world.
The show was opened by two mothers who have lost their children to knife crime, and young people who died from violence on the streets last year were remembered in a memorial on stage.
Celebrates young people that have lost their lives, but it also celebrates young people that want to come together and make a difference. And that's the most important part of it. And it's like saying to people, we have, at Boroughs United, unity within our communities.
While most of the young people come here to be able to perform in front of their friends, families and the judges, of course, there's also a serious message to try and unite young people across all London boroughs. Aisha Baksh, BBC London.
OK, a quick look now at some of the day's other news stories. The Met Police has launched a murder investigation following the death of a 36-year-old woman in Hammersmith. Officers were called to a property in Coulter Road yesterday evening following reports that a man was attempting to force entry into one of the flats. A 38-year-old was arrested and remains in custody. Armed police have been called to a standoff in a flat above some shops in Lewisham High Street. It follows reports of a man seen brandishing a knife outside a third-floor window. The Met says officers were working to find out whether anyone else was inside the property. The High Street on the A20 remains closed while emergency services are at the scene. Pilot patrols dedicated to protecting vulnerable women on nights out in Essex have been extended. They were set up in Chelmsford for Christmas, aiming to spot the signs of predatory behaviour and support women who end up on their own. Police say it'll now run until at least the middle of next month. It's also being set up in Basildon, Grays and Harlow during half-term. And an infamous set of bollards in Watford, where multiple vehicles, including a police van, have crashed into, is to remain. Woodmere Avenue shot to fame after videos of vehicles smashing into bollards were shared online millions of times in 2021. Hertfordshire County Council says after consulting local residents, the bollards will remain with an additional automatic number plate recognition camera. Next, to the beauty of our ancient trees and woodland. But here's a question. Should they be listed? The Woodland Trust thinks so and plans to create a database to help protect them. Patrick O'Hagan reports from Berkshire.
Countless poems, books and hymns have been written about our deep connection to our native trees, but just 2% of the UK's land surface is actually covered by ancient woodland. Bridget Fox from the Woodland Trust is an enthusiast, and she's working with the House of Lords on its Heritage Trees Bill. That would give our native species the same level of protection as our listed buildings.
So we're here in Welford, a typical beautiful Berkshire village, and like many older villages, it has some fantastic listed buildings, including the manor house and the church, and also some ancient and veteran trees. This is a tree that will have seen the centuries pass. It was quite possibly here when the Domesday Book was written. It could precede the Norman Conquest, and yet it's still got new growth today. So it really is a living legend. But whereas the buildings are on a national register of listed buildings and have that heritage protection, the trees, which in some cases are even older, don't.
The Trust has identified 200,000 of these trees, but thinks there are another 2 million more out there. They're not protected by any laws, and while local councils can stop them from being chopped down, they first have to know where they are. As well as protecting our ancient trees, the Woodland Trust helps fund planting projects run by councils like Wokingham's. It's recently planted more than 2,500 saplings in Ashenbury Park, near Woodley.
We're always trying to adapt and make sure we're looking at the species and what's impacting them, which ones are more resilient to things like climate change.
We take our ancient trees for granted, but it's only through the efforts of volunteers that we even know where they are.
We've got a voluntary register, the Ancient Tree Inventory, but what we want is a proper official national one to ensure that these living legends get the protection they deserve.
Patrick O'Hagan there. Now, meet 16-year-old Toby Brown from Twickenham. And no wonder he's smiling. He's just secured a $1 million funding from a company in Silicon Valley after developing an AI startup in his London bedroom. Adriana Elgueta went to meet him before he heads off to California.
At age just 7, Toby Brown had already begun building his first computer. Fast forward 10 years, while juggling schoolwork, he's built an AI platform that has received $1 million backing from Silicon Valley investors.
This amount of money is going to be so helpful. It was so exciting. I got the phone call. I actually got the phone call on my birthday. They told me that I got it on my birthday. So it was a great birthday gift. My friends were quite shocked by it. I made the mistake of not telling them early enough. And so it got to kind of the last week of school, and I was basically just, everyone was like, oh, Toby, can I have a tenner? It was such a massive part of my life. I'd come home from school, I'd wake up early in the morning, and it was all I was doing. It was all I was working on.
As for what his platform Beam actually does, we'll let him explain.
Beam's this thing we're calling an AI native computer, and what that looks like is it's essentially a computer which brings files to you. It can bring your calendar to you, and it's scalable to kind of do anything. So, imagine an example I really like is imagine we're booking a holiday, and I'm going with my family. I've booked an Airbnb. Beam works that out. It realises, oh God, he hasn't booked flights yet. Beam knows me. It knows what I like to do. It knows my price range. It knows which airline I like to fly with.
For Mum Claire, it's a mystery where he got his coding talent.
We don't have a background in coding or computers ourselves. I work for the NHS. My husband is in marketing, and it's not something we know much about at all. So it was quite a shock for us, quite surprising. Toby first got into tech when he was about 7. He started with Scratch programming, and then he actually built his own first computer at 10, he joined Hack Club, which was a coding club for teenagers, and he literally just found that himself.
Toby's mentor at Hack Club noticed immediately how special he was.
From the first day you met Toby, you knew that this was going to happen. And Hack Club's a place where there's hundreds of teenagers who are kind of working together on these alternate paths, and you could just tell that Toby was going to take this step. So I would say it wasn't a surprise for me when I heard that Toby had raised $1 million. I mean, obviously that was going to happen. And it's so exciting to see, so many incredible young people coming out of the UK right now. And we're really seeing that in Hack Club.
It's such an exciting opportunity. I think we've got an opportunity to really change things. Change how we use computers, and I couldn't turn that down.
So world domination?
In a non-evil way.
Adriana Elgueta, BBC London.
Good luck, Toby Brown. Now, why is the bunting out? Well, it may be a little way off, but on the May the 5th bank holiday, we're being encouraged to celebrate the 80th anniversary of VE Day, which takes place a few days later and marks the ending of fighting in Europe during World War II. It could be organising picnics, barbecues or street parties to celebrate. Schools will be getting involved too, and one in East London is already making plans thanks to a few familiar faces. John Maguire can tell us more.
It's a song written more than 80 years ago during one of the darkest chapters in British history. The White Cliffs of Dover, sung by Vera Lynn, offered hope to a beleaguered people, a future of love and laughter, peace ever after, and a world of freedom. That moment was finally realised with the Nazi surrender and victory in Europe on the 8th of May 1945, VE Day.
Hostilities will end officially at 1 minute after midnight tonight.
Generations later, and these children at Hermitage Primary School in East London are looking ahead to the 80th anniversary of VE Day with two VIPs, the actor and journalist Ross Kemp and the former double Olympic champion Dame Kelly Holmes.
This will be the last generation that get to have any connection and hopefully interact with some of those veterans.
They're here to launch calls for a national celebration on Bank Holiday Monday, May the 5th, called the Great British Food Festival. There'll be street parties and picnics to honour those who fought for our liberty.
I want as many people as possible across the United Kingdom to just have a great day and remember the sacrifices that were made that enable us to live in the way that we do, with the freedoms that we have.
Schools across the country are being asked to take up the VE Day challenge. The children here have been studying the Second World War, not just when it happened, but why, and crucially, what it means now, so many years on.
It was very scary for the people living in that time, and lots of people died. The children had to be evacuated to the countryside, so it would have been very scary.
Never since the Great Fire of 1666 has such a roaring furnace swept through our capital.
East London and its former Docklands, where the school stands today, was devastated during the Blitz in the war's early years. So staff believe it's important to teach the children about life here during the 1940s.
These children, if they'd have been alive then, would have been evacuated. So there's a lot that they can relate to and there's a lot that they can learn about. But also they're aware that there's lots of conflict still going on in the world at the moment, and they're aware that how lucky they are to be living in a peaceful country at the moment and living in a peaceful society. So we think even though they come from lots of different countries and lots of different backgrounds, it's really important for them to understand how lucky we are to be living here today.
So from the youngest to the greatest generation, the 80th anniversary of VE Day will provide the chance to once again join together and be thankful. John Maguire, BBC News, East London.
OK, most of us have been in this position, waiting for a train, and up pops a voice that becomes familiar to commuters, like this one.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Well, now we can meet one of the faces behind the voices of railway announcements across much of London and the South East. And Matthew Streeton has tens of thousands of TikTok followers.
Platform 17 for the 12:50 Southern service to West Croydon. Hi, I'm Matt Streeton and I'm the voice of Thameslink and Southern, but I'm also known as Matt the Train Guy. The announcements that I do are the automated announcements that you hear on trains across the Thameslink, Southern and Great Northern network, announcing when your next train is and where it's going. Please mind the gap between the train and the platform. To begin with, it was really weird hearing myself on the platforms, but now I've just got used to it and I can actually tune out my own voice. There was this one time where I actually told myself off. So I was on the phone, just wandering around as you do, and I strayed over the wrong side of the yellow line. At the exact moment, one of my "please stand back behind the yellow line" announcements came over the tannoy.
Welcome aboard this Great Northern service to Letchworth Garden City.
This is a Great Northern service to London King's Cross. Calling at, where are we calling at? I do get recognised sometimes because of my voice. Generally it's more because of TikTok and YouTube, but yeah, I have been stopped several times to say, "I've heard you before, are you the voice of Thameslink?"
Do you recognise this guy?
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016.
Do you recognise his voice?
Yeah, he's the train person.
Yeah.
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the British Transport Police on 61016.
He's the guy who makes all the announcements on the train. Yeah, yeah, I've heard that a million times. Yeah.
We'll sort it. See it, say it, sorted. I get about 100 messages a week from people asking me to do different announcements, mainly train ones, but I have had one, which was actually last week, from someone asking me if I could record a voice note for their dating profile.
Did you?
See him, swipe him, sorted.
Please stand well clear of the edge of platform 2.
So there are thousands of different audio files for the announcing system, and then there's the delay reasons. The 10:20 Great Northern service has been delayed. So there are some delay reasons which people are very familiar with, but there are also ones which hopefully we don't really use very often, such as an unexploded wartime bomb earlier today, and of course, swans on the line. I think the benefit of the current setup with a real human behind the voice is exactly that. You have a real human behind the voice, and now you know the face.
Matt, the train guy, taking requests and making us chuckle. Well, let's see if Corsa will take requests for the weather. Come rain or shine, you're always smiling though.
Oh, bless you, thank you. I don't know how to follow him. He was amazing, wasn't he? But yes, it's been a bit grey and dismal, hasn't it, Riz? And I'm afraid that is set to continue. Good evening to you all. Today, cloudy, grey skies out there. This rather dismal scene captured by one of our weather watchers in Croydon. The umbrellas are up, the hoods are on. And that has been the story. And we'll continue to see some outbreaks of rain this evening and overnight too. This weather front here continues to spread further north and eastwards, bringing some outbreaks of rain, but it will become a bit lighter and patchy as the night progresses. So we are expecting more in the way of cloud then for tomorrow too. But some patches of rain, not as extensive as they have been today and at the weekend, but still quite wet at times. Now, for this evening, we'll continue to see some outbreaks of rain then, especially for more eastern parts. Overnight tonight becoming a bit lighter and patchier, but staying cloudy, and temperatures overnight dipping to low single figures. And the winds will tend to ease as well. So it does mean for tomorrow morning then, quite cloudy skies once again. And the cloud will be thick enough for some light and patchy rain at times, some drizzle in places. Some drier interludes as well, though, and temperatures by the afternoon reaching around 4 to 6 Celsius, and the winds will be lighter as well. For tomorrow evening too, still quite cloudy out there, still a bit damp in places. There may just be a few clearer spells overnight, but staying largely cloudy and temperatures again down to low single figures, around 1 to 3 Celsius. For Wednesday then, there will be more in the way of cloud once again. Some patches of brightness perhaps developing, especially into the afternoon, but there'll also be a couple of showers around as well. And temperatures by Wednesday afternoon may be a degree or two higher at around 6 or 7 degrees. And then looking ahead to the rest of the week, and while high pressure is influencing our weather, keeping these weather fronts away from us, it should be largely dry, but a lot of cloud around for Wednesday, for Thursday too, maybe the odd spell of brightness, but also the chance of some drizzle and temperatures reaching around 6 or 7 degrees. And there may just be some sunshine at the weekend. We will, of course, keep you updated. And that's your forecast.
I just heard sunshine. I'm sticking with that. Corsa, thanks very much. And that is it. Thanks very much for being with us. Lots more on our website, including the ads that the Mayor's being urged to ban on Transport for London, plus the engine of a World War II plane that's been restored to honour RAF crew. From me and all the team, do enjoy your Monday evening. Bye-bye.